What's going on, stackers? Welcome back to the channel. Today we have some big news about Hbar and Algo. Let's get it. So in this clip, we have the co-CEO of Hbar and we have the CTO of Algo. Now they have a big partnership that's going to be solving a big problem in crypto, but I'll let them explain it. So without further ado, here we go.
John, Lehman, it's great to see you again. Welcome to CFC. And why don't we do introductions real quick? Lehman, will you want to start us off?
Sure. So I'm Lehman. I created Hashgraph and started Hedera, and I'm just really excited to be here with you and with you.
Absolutely.
Tough one to follow that. I'm John. I'm the CTO at the Algo Foundation.
Excellent. Well, I know you gentlemen have been working on a partnership, and that's exciting to hear. That's one of the big benefits of CFC is the quality of the participants. So why don't you tell us a little bit about it?
Sure, maybe I'll start. So I think for our industry at large, the Web3 space, decentralized asset space, user experience has to be put at the forefront if it's going to be successful. And one of the most frictionful points right now around the user experience for the average person who's venturing into digital assets is the key. The private key is required to spend those assets. It's essentially your right of ownership over those assets.
That's very true. A lot of people, they don't want to get into crypto because they don't want to custody their own key. That's why the ETF is so big. It's getting all the older people that aren't so good with technology, giving them a chance to get into crypto without having to hold their keys. The institutions are actually custodying their crypto.
And one of the benefits of Web3 is that having this single key that you own gives a great responsibility of self-sovereignty. It's not with the bank, it's with you. And that's a wonderful virtue of the technologies that we have created and we are working on. However, with that comes a huge responsibility. And folks out there have lost these keys. And with that, they lose their assets. And so, with Swirls Labs, Lehman and his team have come up with a wonderful protocol for how we can ensure that these keys are kept secure in a decentralized manner, and if someone was to lose those keys, they can be recovered without having to trust any one party.
That's great.
Yes. So the whole future is things like blockchains and other things that are online, but you have keys, you have passwords. Maybe we'll go to passkeys, but then you have information in your phone that does the passkey. There's always some secret somewhere that you need to protect. And our whole lives are moving online and being controlled with these things. You don't want to give it to someone else, not your keys, not your crypto.
Right.
You want to have it yourself, but then you lose it. And I get emails from someone saying, I've lost my 24-year-old mnemonic. Could you create another one for me? No. but it's bad because every part of our life has a safety net, but not this one. If you lose your password to your bank, someday you'll get into your bank account. If you lose your key for a crypto account, you're out of luck. And so what you have to do is be able to share it with some friends and family, maybe your bankers, maybe your lawyers, but share it with multiple helpers and have your phone every day asking their device, do you still have my part of it? That's really important. And keep it secret. You don't want to know, don't want the world to know how many helpers you have or who they are. This is important. But the most important thing is it's got to be interoperable. Right. Every wallet, every password manager, this isn't just blockchain, every password manager needs to interoperate. So we've got to have a standard that everyone uses. And it has to be open source and everyone. And that's why I think it is so great that we have this partnership and we're bringing in others also, other blockchains, banks and credit unions and other people. It's just so important to do that.
Well, I'm really glad you guys are working on this. I mean, I've often said if we're going to get to 1 billion users in crypto in the next year or two, user interface is the key.
Absolutely. Yeah, what I was just going to add to what Lehman's already said is that one of the reasons the Algo Foundation and the Algo ecosystem at large are so excited to be a founding member of this alliance is because the way the team under Lehman's leadership have built this thing is true to the value proposition of crypto broadly. And so it's built agnostic to any chain. It's not leveraging things that are Hedera specific or that are Algorand specific or Cardano specific. It's using best-in-class cryptography because the engineers that are working on it are the industry's best. And on top of that, the execution of the protocol, the actual implementation, again, is true to the value proposition of what we're trying to do. And so it's great if, a lot of protocols are put out there and they look great on the tin, but under the hood, there's some kind of concession where they are centralized in some kind of way. There's some person you trust, some entity you trust. The wonderful thing about this, the decentralized recovery of keys, is that it's true to the thesis of crypto. You don't have to trust anyone. You can be sure that if you lose access to that valuable key material, that you can recover it. And all the while, we're making sure that it's as open a standard as possible, that other members from the broader industry can come in, influence, and hopefully adopt. And I think that that is the killer app. I think the fact that this thing is not, Hedera specific, Algorand specific, or any other chain, it's nonpartisan. And by that, we're hoping for the first time that we'll see broad uptake across the industry. Previous attempts at this have been okay, but the one thing that they failed at is that they always leveraged something that was brand specific.
Now, I think this would definitely usher in some more adoption. Now with Ledger, they tried to implement something like this where you could get your key back if you lost it, but you had to trust Ledger. With what these guys are doing, they're saying you're going to not have to trust anyone. I'm curious to see what exactly it is and how it works.
Well, I agree with that. And it is not using any blockchain. It can protect any secret. Your keys to any blockchain it can protect, but there's no smart contract involved. There's no social recovery involved. There's nothing that involves a blockchain involved. And this is critically needed by the blockchain industry, but it's also critically needed outside the blockchain industry. This isn't just for protecting keys, it's also for protecting passwords. It's also protecting passkey information. Any secret you have, your secret recipe, you can have for your cookies, you can have protected by this system.
Interesting. And it sounds like you're really positioning and building this alliance to be neutral, to be open, to be decentralized. I really love that you're keeping to that sort of key ethos. I know that so many people, that's critically important to them. What are you calling the alliance?
It is the DREC Alliance, Decentralized Recovery. So DeFi is decentralized finance, DREC is decentralized recovery. So it's the DREC Alliance, and Algorand and Hedera are involved right now, but other blockchains will also be involved, and we are recruiting others, and then we have lots of other people involved. We have wallets involved, we have people building apps for banks, people building apps for credit unions. Sure. So the building blocks and Bank Social are two that are building for them. We have wallets involved, and we want to get even broader people like password managers involved.
That's great.
It's just great. I mean, I'm really excited about it because for the first time when I spoke to Lehman about this, there was nothing about it I didn't like. It was easy for us to jump into it because it's honestly great for the industry. If a technology like this can be proliferated across all the different chains, and wonderfully, I've spoken before publicly about the fact that the crypto industry or the Web3 industry tends to be quite tribal, a little bit like football clubs, everyone's got their favorite. But what's wonderful about this, and what's so important, is that it really does implement a protocol which can be adopted by anyone without any favoritism.
Got it.
And so the important thing here is that it be interoperable. We have one standard. Right. It doesn't even matter what the standard is, and this will become an IETF standard. This is going to become real standards. But the important thing is that you have a wallet on one blockchain, and I have a password manager, and somebody else has the app that they use to access their bank. And each of us can be helpers to each other and sharing information with each other because it's interoperable. Right. That's the important thing, is that we have one standard, that it's open, that it's reviewed by everyone, that it becomes actual internet standards.
Might I add in XRP interoperability? That is one of the biggest factors in the XRP ledger.
This is the important thing. 10 competing standards where every wallet can't talk to each other is bad.
Right, absolutely. Well, and so it sounds like you're structuring this to be really open and permissionless, where people can adopt the standard directly. And so I take it this isn't like a foundation or formal membership. It's just you're creating this open infrastructure.
Both. So we're creating the DREC Alliance that people can join, but we're also creating, the Alliance itself is creating libraries that are free software to make it easy for you to add this to your app. The idea is you just add a few lines of code to your app, and now you have DREC. That's the idea. And so you don't have to join anything. You just download it from GitHub and go. Right. Or if you want to, you can join and you can help influence it. You can influence what the standard is. It is not owned by any one person. That's the goal.
So I presume this has been open source then?
All open source.
Very much so.
Yes.
And we're going to have a technical committee, of which the Algo Foundation and of course Swirls Labs and Hedera are founding members, and members will rotate over time, and other members will be elected. We want folks from across the industry, from across the chains, from across various entities that are interested in this, to come and help. To be successful, it has to be open. It has to be able to be something that is not controlled, again, by one entity or one company, one chain. And so it is very much in the DNA of this initiative to have others from across the industry influence and develop it.
These two ecosystems are just the first two members. They're not special. There will be many members that are all equal. There's nothing special about these two.
Right.
And our goal is to not be special. That's our goal.
Yeah, well, I think that's very smart. You know, you look at the most successful internet standards and they're all neutral, they're all open. That's what gets the broadest adoption.
Right. And if you look at TLS, the transport layer security that encrypts our traffic as we browse the websites, you know, different browsers implement it in different ways, sure. But there's a defined standard on what it means to be TLS compatible, on what it means to be secure. Sure. And so, you know, even if folks choose not to use the reference implementation that's going to be provided, that's fine. Yeah. You can take the standard, implement it yourself, implement it in Rust, implement it in a different language that you prefer. I couldn't be more excited to do this with you.
Oh yeah, this is very exciting. It's a very simple standard for what bytes go over the internet. And we'll have libraries that you can use, or you can ignore them and just make the bytes go over the internet yourself. Write it all from scratch. It all works.
And even at the protocol level, which defines, you know, as Lehman's already said, hey, I've got a key. How do I make sure if I lose this key, I don't end up in trouble? Right. Answer, I distribute the shards of the key to my helpers, to the individuals who I trust in my circle of friends and family. And the protocol defines how we can check with those individuals, or indeed the computers that they run, to make sure that they're still alive and active, and I can rely upon them if I ever need to recover my key. But even that protocol itself, sure, we've started with what we think is a very strong implementation. But over time, just like SSH has evolved or other protocols on the internet have evolved, we may add elements to that, remove elements, modify it. And so this stuff is not, it's not stuck in time. It's going to evolve over time. But ultimately, always with an eye for staying decentralized, ensuring that we have best-in-class engineering and applied cryptography so that it's secure. And I think doing so in a way that it is agnostic to any one party.
Right.
Exactly. So it's very simple protocols for how do I make you be my helper? How do I send you information? How do I recover the information? How do I check every day that you still have it? My phone does that automatically. All of that is the protocols. These will be tweaked over time. They will evolve over time, but they're very simple and straightforward. I keep saying it's not rocket science. It's using very standard cryptography, very standard concepts, but it's desperately needed. We need the safety net.
Honestly, it's shocking it hasn't been done before. I
think they've tried it. I just think it's, well, in my assessment, I should speak for myself, is that anyone who's tried it before has done so in a way that is somehow biased towards something, whether it's a technology or a party or otherwise.
Right.
This implementation, Lehman, do you want to?
Yeah, so there have been biases. Often you have to use a smart contract on a blockchain or something. Also, often the world can see who your helpers are. Also, I don't think anyone has done this where you're checking every day.
Right.
Honestly, if you give this to your friends and family and you never check, I guarantee you, one by one, they're going to lose it. You'll never know it until you need it, and then it's too late.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I'm impressed that it's dynamic and not static, right? I've helped with a lot of key ceremonies over the decade with different protocols, and usually it's a static key instead of here's a dynamic solution.
Right, and this is key, pun intended, because social recovery has existed for a while, right? Sure, you can use Shamir secret sharing and shard up a key, whatever. You can give it to people, but ultimately, every single time I've seen this try to be relied upon, it comes to the point of recovery and you're a person short, or someone's machine has died because they suffer from the same fate you did, which is why you need them in the first place. And so this ensuring that things are still hot, things are still there and are still dependable, makes the protocol robust and fit for purpose.
Well, thank you guys so much for taking the time today to go through this. I mean, I think this is an incredible outcome from an event like CFC to see the industry coming together, building new technology that'll ultimately advance all of the ecosystem. So thank you guys for that contribution.
Hbar and Algo are both ISO 20022 compliant, which means they meet the new standards for messaging between the banks. Now, there's a few other cryptos, XRP being one of the biggest, XLM, XDC. All of these cryptos, I think, will have a big role in the new financial system. I definitely do like Hbar. The tokenomics are a little crazy. It's kind of like XRP, how they have more coins coming out all the time. So price action is a little wonky, but definitely in the future, I see Hbar and Algo and XRP, XLM, XDC. I see these cryptos doing extremely well because we still haven't seen a utility bull run. All the past cycles have been speculation. When we do see the utility bull run,
boy, these are gonna explode.
But anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. I'll catch you tomorrow with another one. Keep stacking.